Hey team, I just wanted to give you some things to think about and some things to work on over the next little while. Lots of racing happening and you're getting out in the open water through the summer. Also the thick of the summer where it's been really hot for a while for a lot of people. So two things that I want to talk about. Managing chronic heat when you're working with heat day after day. So it's different than, okay, so we go to somewhere and it's hot and we're going to be managing hot for just one session, or we're going to be managing heat for one day. We're going to just talk a little bit about managing chronic heat. So day after day after day. For example, here in Arizona, it's been hot for months. I know that the heat's been hitting all over the country for quite an extended period of time. And so that can have its toll for sure when it's a chronic load of heat day after day. And so, really making sure that you're staying up on your hydration, your electrolytes, magnesium. If you need to dial back the effort on things, then, go ahead and do that. Usually when you're having to deal with heat day after day, the recovery is a little bit different. So you might have to dial back more than what you think in your sessions. And then taking care of making sure your core temperature is nice and cool at night. So coming in with cold showers. If you need to wrap some ice packs and pillows and have those in your bed to bring your core temperature down at night, and doing everything you can to manage bringing the core temperature down and replenishing those electrolytes and those that hydration day after day. I know that it's available in a lot of areas too, to go and get some IVs, that kind of thing. That might be something that if you're really training hard day after day outside in the heat exposure, that you look at maybe once a month or something like that to go and get things really replenished and make sure that you're not getting super depleted. So staying up on those minerals, magnesium, zinc, sodium, all of those types of things, a little extra salt on your food, that's going to help as well. And then you can get in the habit of getting a gauge on how much fluid you're losing you could weigh yourself before you leave for, let's say, a long session. Maybe it's your long run or a bike. Get an idea of what your weight is. And then you go out there and you do it. You keep in track of how many bottles that you're drinking, then weigh yourself when you come back. Get an idea of how much weight you've lost due to losing fluid. And then make it a goal that by the end of that day, you've drank enough fluids that your weight's back up to normal. So that can be a way to monitor things as well with the chronic heat and the chronic sweating. This other thing that I want us to talk about a little bit is as you're practicing being in races and things like open water swimming, getting out there in the open water swim. When you're in the pool, you can practice the different sightings. So, there's the alligator peak where we're just slightly, when the hand's out in front of us and we just slightly peek up over the water and have a look around where you're going. And it's that slight lift in head. You engage the glutes and the hamstrings, increase the kick slightly, lean on the hand that's out in front of you when it's deep in the water, get a little balance there. And it's just a split second where you peek up and you look, and you're keeping that breath and the peak separate from one another. So breathing still out is to the side, but when you look, you just a little quick sight right up on top of your stroke and right back into rhythm. So we're not actually stopping any forward momentum. It's just that slight, call it the alligator peak while the hand's out in front of you. Engage the glutes and hamstrings, increase the kick right into rhythm, a little press deep into the water, and then you press back on the water for that forward momentum right back into stroke. And the breathing and the sighting are kept separate from one another. You can do another exercise in the pool that's going to set you up for open water where you purposely lift your head really high out of the water, really engage glutes and hamstrings. And when the arm's deep in the water, so on the bottom half of the press down, before you start pressing back, where you really lift yourself up nice and high and feel what that feels like and get a good look. Again, you're still keeping the sighting and the breathing separate from one another. So you're having a big look where you're going. That's going to be helpful to practice that if you get into some of that more aggressive chop, or you're really needing to take a look at where you're going, see how that changes your rhythm and your stroke. And the goal is that we don't stop forward momentum when we do that. It's just a big press, lift the head up, and then press back and down, and then right back into your stroke. Remember when we swim open water, when we're in clean water in the pool, we've got this nice clean water out in front of us, and the depth of where we get our catch is straight out in front of us, and it's up close to the surface. But we know that in open water, sometimes when there's a lot of chaos going around, chop, people, all kinds of stuff, we call this dirty water out in front of us. There's not a whole lot to grab a hold of. So that that catch out in front of you might be a little bit deeper in the water, and as you press down, and the most we're going to get out of our stroke in open water is that pull underneath us and that press back. So making sure that being very, very diligent that pull pattern isn't getting away from us out here and we're missing that pull, because that is going to be really, really important in the open water, because we're not able to get a whole lot out here on this catch. It's a little deeper in the water. You get right up on top of that stroke, and all our forward momentum is going to come from what we're able to press back and anchor into the water and press back and pull ourselves up over our arm and finish strong. And that pull pattern underneath our body is really important in the open water, so that we're able to get that good forward propulsion. So those are some food for thought with open water, what you're practicing in the pool, the differences. Body position, obviously, when we're in the pool, we're taught over and over again that we want to be looking down at the bottom of the pool, but realistically, we want to be looking a little ahead, because when we're in open water, we have to be able to look a little ahead. Those glutes and hamstrings are engaged, and we want to learn how to have that head position there and still keep the glutes and hamstrings engaged, so that we keep our hips nice and high in the water. Slightly different than pool swimming. So pool swimming and open water swimming, there's some differences there. Make sure you're always thinking about those differences, that they're practicing in the pool, so it's not completely foreign when we get out into the open water. All right, so hopefully those are a couple things for you to think about through the week. The taking care of yourself and what you need to do to make sure that you're staying fully hydrated and recovering well in the heat, dialing back the efforts and staying on top of all those minerals and hydration, and then some food for thought on open water swimming and working on those little fine-tuned things in the pool. All right, cheers.